You know that feeling, right? A speaker walks up on stage and within literally seconds, you've completely tuned out. Well, this explainer is all about flipping that script. We're going to break down 5 really powerful techniques to start a speech so well, the entire audience will be hooked from your very first word. So here's the thing. The most critical part of any presentation, it's not the big finish, it's not the data you have in the middle. Nope, it's the very beginning. And you know what? It's exactly where most people fail, and I mean, they fail spectacularly. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. This is the classic, totally safe, and let's be honest, completely forgettable opening. I mean, it's polite, it's what everyone does, but it basically gives your audience a permission slip to just check their phones for the next 20 minutes. You've lost them before you've even really started. 10 seconds. That's it. That is the entire window you have. Seriously. That's how long you've got before most people in the audience lose their full, undivided attention. And after this 10 seconds are up, you are fighting a serious uphill battle to win them back. So why does this keep happening? Well, it's because we're kind of taught to play it safe, right? We start with our name, our title, a little bit of boring context, and we give the audience absolutely zero reason to lean in and care. We're basically prioritizing our own comfort over their curiosity. Okay, so what's the solution? It's simple, actually. You have to do something they just don't expect. The goal here isn't to be weird just for the sake of being weird. No. The goal is to break that boring pattern of introductions and immediately signal to everyone, hey, listen up, this is going to be different. Okay, so let's get into the good stuff. We're going to start with our first 2 techniques. Now, these are designed for pure immediate impact, to jolt your audience right out of that passive listening mode and get them actively engaged from the absolute get-go. Okay, technique number 1 is the surprising statement. This is where you drop a fascinating, or maybe even shocking, or counterintuitive fact. But here's the pro tip, the thing that separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs, they just rush right through the fact. Professionals, they know the real magic, the real power is in the pause. 70. Did you see what just happened there? By just saying the number first and then pausing, I gave your brain a second to wonder, to ask a question. You're probably thinking, 70? What? And then when the full statement lands, bam, it has so much more impact. It's a really simple trick, but it makes information way more memorable. All right, next up, the classic show of hands. Now, we've all seen this one, but it is so often misused. The biggest mistake is when a speaker asks a question, watches the hands go up, and then just moves on, ignores the response completely. It feels like such a cheap gimmick. The real key here is to genuinely acknowledge what the audience is telling you. So, for example, instead of just moving on, you'd say, quick show of hands, who here thinks pineapple belongs on pizza? Okay. Wow, look at that. A pretty strong showing for the yes camp. And who thinks it's a crime against humanity? Ah, I see you, the passionate minority over here. See, by actually acknowledging the different groups, you make them feel seen. You've just turned a boring monologue into a real conversation. All right, let's move on to our next set of hooks. Now, these 2 techniques, they're all about immersion. They don't just grab attention. They are designed to literally transport your audience into another world. So, technique number 3, the imaginary scene. Now, a lot of speakers try this, but they fail because they stay way too abstract and high level. They'll say something generic like, imagine you have a difficult problem. I mean, that doesn't create a picture in your mind at all. The secret is to get super specific and use vivid action words. You don't just tell them to think about a cafe. You've got to take them there. You say, imagine you walk into your favorite cafe. You sit down in that big, comfy chair. You drink your coffee. You can smell the aroma. These really simple verbs, they create a mental movie, and they pull your listener right into the experience with you. Okay, our 4th technique is the story. Now, we all know that stories are incredibly powerful, right? But the most common mistake people make is summarizing the story instead of actually telling it. It's like they're giving a book report, hovering way above the action. The secret is to zoom right into a single, specific, vivid moment. So think about the bookshelf story. You wouldn't just say, one time I built some furniture wrong. No way. You'd say, I'm 3 hours in. I stand back to look at the shelf, and it's wobbly. So I grabbed the manual, totally frustrated, and that's when I realized I had skipped step 1, the very first step. That specific moment of failure is so relatable, and it makes the final lesson about planning so much more powerful. And now, for our final technique, This one might be the simplest of them all, but it's also the one most people are just too afraid to use effectively. This, my friends, is the speaker's secret weapon. It's the unexpected silence. Imagine this. You walk on stage, you look at the audience, and you just say nothing. For a few seconds, you just connect with them. That silence builds this incredible anticipation. Every single person in that room is wondering what is about to happen. But the key here is the duration. A tiny 1-second pause, that's useless. You need 3 to 5 full seconds of intentional silence. Now, I know it's going to feel like an absolute eternity to you as the speaker, but for the audience, it's a massive, powerful signal to pay attention. After a pause like that, your first words are going to land with incredible weight. Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground here. Let's pull this all together and see how it builds into a really practical toolkit that you can use for your very next presentation. So here they are, your new toolkit, all 5 hooks. You've got the surprising statement to spark curiosity, the show of hands to create a genuine connection, the imaginary scene, and the story to completely immerse your audience, and of course, the unexpected silence to build that powerful anticipation. Now, you don't have to use all of them at once, but you can pick and choose the one that best fits your message and, your own personal style. Look, if you take only one single thing away from this entire explainer, please let it be this. The goal of your opening is not to introduce yourself. The goal is to make the audience curious. You have to break their expectations. Whatever you do, don't play it safe. So the next time you have to get up and speak, you have a clear choice. You can do the usual, "Hi, my name is," and literally watch their eyes glaze over, or you can use one of these techniques to make them lean in, to make them wonder, to make them whisper to the person next to them, "Who is this?" The only question left is, which opening will you choose?